So there are very few times I feel that we get an artist or an artist is so open and so articulate about what their album or their music is about. And then enter Melanie Martinez, who basically like has her whole album Portals just kind of outlined for us and her fans and her listeners and everyone on the planet. And I mean, she's kind of done this before. Like, she's always been very open and articulate, like I said, about the intention behind her art, and it's always kind of specific. And Portals is just another example of that. So we're going to talk about Portals, which is Melanie Martinez's third studio album. It's actually a continuation of her past two albums, Crybaby, sorry, and K through 12. And Andrew, like I don't know, like I think the way this album comes off for Melanie is like I said, it's a progression of her past two albums, but she really has matured in a way too with her sound and with her concepts. Like, would you agree?
Yeah, I think 100%. Even just like you mentioned the material, I think it's always been very mature, but it's been kind of hidden behind more like child nursery rhymes or more childlike subject matter, which I think is really interesting that she's done. But I think with this one, she did a really good job at integrating something that her first relationship in the public eye
Mm,
obviously did. And I think that being able to kind of write about that has been really therapeutic probably for her. And we see a lot of that actually come out into this album.
hmm.
Really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're talking about her relationship with Oliver Tree, obviously, and that was that's got to be at least a couple years ago now, right?
Yeah, I want to say it was probably around 29, 28, between 2018 and 2020, somewhere in there. I'm not sure if it was the full time span, but
Hmm. Right. Yeah, so kind of after like K through 12 or like on the tail end of K through 12, I would say. Well, K through 12 I think was 2019, so maybe even before that. Um, but no, you're right. Like she does have a lot of that is one part of the material on Portals that she does address. But like the basic overarching concept of the album is talking about this in between where people kind of move on between life and the afterlife, she says, and
mhm.
kind of this hypnosis that people fall under and like hypnotherapy, like I said. And she was reading like so many books and so many manuscripts, I think, from what people described as they're going through this process of like, transitioning. And I mean, I just can't get over like this character. Like we said, it's Crybaby, but it's Crybaby in like the universe or like an afterlife with all the eyes or whatever. Like it's just so wild and it's so visionary.
Yeah, it's kind of like I think in general the rebirth, I guess, of Crybaby. But I think it's really interesting how her physical form changed, kind of similar to like a caterpillar and a butterfly. So I like it, and I think it's really creative and not something that I've seen before from another artist. So it's something that I can really appreciate. I know some people have been really kind of creeped out, I think, by Melanie Martinez's new appearance.
Mhm.
But overall, yeah, I think the highlighting that it's basically about like the rebirth of Crybaby, I think is the overarching theme of the album.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, so you went to one of her listening parties and that was before Portals came out. So just talk a little bit about like what that was like, because she obviously dresses up in the costume now. So it's just like you said, she's really fulfilling this whole role from, front to back, you could say.
Yeah, I didn't go to a listening party that she attended or anything,
Okay.
unfortunately, but I know she is currently attending some listening parties right now, but I know she has fallen under the weather, so I don't think she's made it to all of her appearances.
Hmm.
Um, but just in general, the listening party was really cool. It's an opportunity to I not only listen to the album, but kind of meet other people, see other people that also have the similar interests as you. And there were opportunities for like giveaways and like free posters and stuff. So cool. It was overall a really cool experience.
And what would you say the general consensus has been about the album? Like, Do you think her fans are really into it? Like you said, some people have been kind of critical or like freaked out with what she's done. But I think as a fan, I would assume you'd be a little bit more appreciative of what she's done and how transparent she's been with her art.
Right. I think a lot of people that have been there throughout, even early on, is like Dollhouse EP or um, Crybaby itself, probably really appreciate it and can understand where Melanie's coming from. I think most recently, one of her songs blew up on TikTok, and I think that had her, gain a larger following than what she had before.
Hmm.
And I feel like it's a lot of those people that don't necessarily appreciate or can understand kind of what Melanie Martinez is going for.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I think everyone's really received the album very well. I know she has plans actually to release a deluxe edition. She's
Oh, cool.
releasing another single tonight, April 4th. She has
Mm.
another single coming out called The Milk of the Sirens or Milk of Sirens.
Okay.
Um, which is like a fan favorite, and a lot of people are really excited for it. I know I'm excited for it, but yeah, I think overall the consensus of how people have received it have been pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, like, I was definitely a little freaked out at first too, seeing the new image that she was doing. I'm not gonna lie, but I've just like conditioned myself, and now I'm okay with it. Like, watch the music video for Death, like, just stalk her Instagram, look at all the photos, so I get used to it. Um, but it does really say it's a strong testament to who she is as an artist. Like, I don't think there really is anyone that does what she does also in the way that she does. Like she's just so like visionary, like I said. Like there is no other Melanie Martinez. It's wild.
Yeah, exactly. And I personally, I appreciate her dedication to wearing the costume. She said before, I think it takes like 3 to 4 hours just to
Mm,
like
yeah.
get it on. But, release day, she went dressed up like that to Target. She's been doing a lot of like, you know, meet and greets in some locations. So it's just impressive that she's been able to do that every like she's changing like every day into this
Yeah.
3 4 hour like personality basically.
Yeah. She's committed for sure.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, I want to talk a little bit about some of the songs on Portals because I mean, I wrote down like a list of favorites, and I honestly have a lot more than I realized. And one of my favorites is Void, which is the second track and was the second single.
Mhm.
And I was reading, and like I said, she's been very open about the album and kind of the intention behind the songs and the project itself. And she was saying, she had this room in the house she used to live in called the Portal Room, which inspired the title. And it had a lot of activity from the other side. And she would kind of write a lot of the songs in there. And I think Void was one of the first ones she wrote. Well, it was the first, she said this was the first track that she ever produced fully on herself, which I think is really cool. And she talked about like the words and the meaning behind that song being so powerful that she was like crying while screaming the chorus. And I just love the line where she goes, like a priest behind confession walls, I judge myself, kneeling on a metal grater. I've had that like stuck in my head ever since. And I just think it's a phenomenally written and produced song.
Yeah, actually that one is probably right up there if not my favorite. I really like this song because she really talks about it's an opportunity to like the void is supposed to be a place where there's like no outside commentary. You're stuck with yourself, so to speak, stuck. Uh and the whole point of being trapped in the void is that you have to come to terms with you yourself, basically changing your internal monologue and kind of getting more comfortable with yourself as opposed to seeking outside validation or judgment from others. It's kind of like being true to who you are as a person, and I really appreciate that, and I really like, I don't know, I really liked that song.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it made sense for her to put it, I think, as a single too. Like I said, given the production factor, and
Hmm.
it's very clean, it's very easy to interpret, I think. Like a lot of these songs are very intricate and they have a lot of different meanings. So I think that one is pretty straightforward, like you said. I also think, like speaking of ones that kind of have like a deeper or dual meaning, she mentioned Spiderweb has kind of like a dual meaning. She said it's a good example of like conceptual and thematic writing. Like it's a commentary, I think, also kind of being stuck in that in between, like that void where you're moving on, you're kind of working out those judgments. But it also, she said, was referring to social media and kind of the hold it has on us as a population. So I think that's also a really phenomenal song to highlight on there.
Yeah. Another one too. I'm not sure if you knew this, but the song Moon Cycle.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if this, I mean, you can never definitely say, but I mean, you can pretty sure without a doubt say Oliver Tree had a song that was very similar, and this kind of felt like it was like um a callback to that song, if that makes sense. So I think in the song, I honestly don't really know too much by him. But in the song, he said something about like the pyramids and her being on her period or something. And in this song, Melanie says, like, I could win a fight on my period. I could build the pyramids or
Hmm.
something like that. And I just think that that was a pretty obvious call out right there that I can
Yeah.
appreciate. So
Yeah, she's digging. She's digging for sure. Well, I mean, I thought you were going to talk about Evil for a second because I think Evil also kind of does that too, right?
yeah, yes, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I recall her mentioning that she ended things ended on good terms between her and Oliver
Hmm.
because I think he received a lot of hate, but at the same time, if you look at other similar artists in the same situation, like Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth, like Liam Hemsworth is suing Miley Cyrus currently
Hmm.
because of the success of Flowers, which is ridiculous. Um, so it could be like kind of in that sense she's trying to address it, but regardless, like Evil's really good at demonstrating like how she feels about this person. Another really good one. I think that one's probably the fan favorite on the album.
Yeah, I could see that. That one too, like kind of speaking on her sound as well. Like we've mentioned, she's kind of, become known for having this very childish like sound with like, xylophones, music boxes, like drums, whatever it is. And it seems like on this, like she takes it to another level of that maturity where, it's still it's like really hard to describe. Like she doesn't really fit into any genre per se because she kind of made her own in that sense.
Mhm.
But now like she kind of has this, indie pop, like alternative pop, I guess you could say, like vibe that still bears resemblance to what she came up on. Like I think Fairy Soiree is another one that kind of does that.
Right.
With like the harps and things of that sort. Um, but then you have, like we said, um we have like Evil, or like, even the Battle of the Larynx is like a little bit more rock infused, like
I
that's
love
another
that
one.
one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I like that one too. What do you like about it?
I mean, honestly, even just when she says like don't you battle with my larynx tonight, I think is like it's just such a different way of saying like don't get in a screaming match with me because I'm gonna win. Like just don't fight with me over this. Like don't take it too far because I'll push it further. And I just think it's a really unique way of saying that.
Yeah, she's always good at like finding other ways to describe things, like you said. Like anyone else could have written that song and just talked about like getting into a screaming match, but no, she takes it to don't battle with my larynx. Like it's just so creative. And then I like how that song really bleeds into the contortionist right afterwards, which is kind
Mhm.
of like it's almost like an act two to Battle of the Larynx because it's talking about how somebody, literally was bending over backwards. And obviously Melanie takes it to the point where she gets very descriptive and talking about your bones breaking, your body bleeding, things like that. And also, like that song from a production standpoint is amazing. Like she's like screaming, she's laughing, her voice is distorted. Like honestly, like I don't know what the strongest song on this album is because they're all pretty up there, but I could
Mhm.
argue like that one is pretty good. Like that one might be the best one on the album, at least from my point of view, and saying it out loud, like just now.
Yeah. I mean, I would even say too, like the way she released the singles, like starting with Death,
Hmm.
and I feel like that was a really good transition period from K through 12 and after school to like more of this like rebirth era. I think that she's trying to portray. So I think even the release of how she did the singles for the album, like she did a great job. And this is a really quick turnaround because I think the first single came out like the first weekend of March, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Um, and then Void came out just a couple days before the album. One
Hmm.
thing too, and I'm not trying to rush her or anything, but I'm really excited to see what she does next.
Hmm.
Obviously, I'm super satisfied with what she's given us so far, and I appreciate it, and I'm hoping that this era lasts a lot longer. But I'm just interested because since she originally started on The Voice,
Right.
um, and from there she released Dollhouse EP, Crybaby, K through 12, and now Portals. And this whole time, we've always been with Crybaby,
Hmm.
essentially. So
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what the next type of era is going to be. If it's going to be like kind of a different character, or if it's going to be um, just Melanie Martinez. I mean, knowing her, I know she said at the K through 12 movie premiere, I believe, she said she already had the next two albums and two movies planned out.
Hmm.
So I know
Interesting.
Portals is definitely going to get a movie, which I'm really excited for. And you can hear it too, because obviously, as you said, all the transitions,
Hmm.
they're they're extended, obviously, at the end to the point there's got to be like a movie release with it.
Yeah.
But it probably won't come until next year, or like the fall or winter.
Right. And I mean, that just like fits so well into her brand. Like, I remember watching K through 12 and she talked a lot about like, it was her first directing gig, I think, or like first time doing a full movie.
Mhm.
And she's just so good at it. Like all of her videos too, like if you watch all of the videos from Crybaby, like front to back, like they all have a story. She's just so good at like creating that visual storyline that it only feels natural for her to have another movie with Portals.
Right. And I think even like from a storytelling perspective, like K through 12 was perfect because it really did have like a beginning, a middle, an end. Like you really follow it. And even on Crybaby itself, like I'm not going to say it was very similar to K through 12 in that sense, but it still had like a pretty clear story throughout it. And
Mm,
yeah, I think she just all around is a really good storyteller.
hmm. Well, on that note, which of the three do you think you can make the argument is her strongest in the Crybaby trilogy? I'm having a hard time saying that for some reason.
Um, that's a tough question. Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I appreciated all the snippets from K through 12 when she released them.
Hmm.
But I've followed her, so I was so excited when Crybaby originally came out that I think I'm gonna have to give it to the original Crybaby album because I just thought it really felt like it changed a couple things around. I think just in general, like in music.
Hmm.
I don't know. There was nothing like it. Like no alternative pop girls were doing it like her. Like I guess you could argue Marina,
Hmm.
but I really like the cohesiveness of Melanie, and I really liked that she stuck with the theme of telling adult situations and stories through these childlike situations. And I really like that she sampled Leslie Gore's Pity Party.
Hmm.
Oh, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing. Like, Crybaby was so revolutionary. Like you said, nobody else was doing what she did at the time. And I think I could make the argument that Portals could be her strongest just because it is, like we said, kind of an evolution of her sound.
Mhm.
So it's like, Crybaby was kind of setting the standard. K through 12 was the continuation, and now Portals is kind of like a reestablishment of who Melanie Martinez is, but in a different light. So I think we'd have to sit with Portals a little bit longer because obviously it's still a recent release. But, from what I've seen people commenting on and what I've seen other outlets review the album as, like, this could be like, her biggest album of her career thus far. It's wild because she's not like a chart topping artist. She's not like a top 40 artist. Like, she has platinum singles though. Like, she has gold records. Like, she's
Mhm.
had so much success just doing what she does that, this would literally take her to the stars, I feel.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like you mentioned, Crybaby definitely set like a foundation.
Mhm.
And with that and like the money she made off that, she was able to build K through 12 and build the production behind it and the movie for it. And then just seeing that kind of take off, and like I mentioned before, gaining a lot of popularity on TikTok and social media, I think that really helped the trajectory of Portals to become like one of the top performing albums of her career so far. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think too, like she has a lot of unreleased songs that a lot of people are excited for. Like I know, so she released Fire Drill, which was
Mhm.
really big. I was
Yeah.
excited to get
I
that
like
one.
that one too, yeah.
She has a lot of just very unique. She's just unique. Like there's no other way to phrase it.
Yeah, like I said, she's Melanie Martinez, the one and only. I think she literally changed her Instagram bio to that or something. Like, there's
Yeah,
it's
something
true.
like that. And now there's like a milk and a mermaid, I think, to
Yeah.
teach
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
milk with a siren. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, if we're talking about like physical form, I think Portals is so cool because I really like this character like now.
Hmm.
But I think music wise, I really like Crybaby, and then aesthetically, I think K through 12 because I really like
Hmm.
the movie. K through 12 was like just amazing.
Hmm.
It's on YouTube actually. I'm pretty sure I
Yeah, it
watched
is.
it
Yeah.
a week
Yeah.
ago. I'm actually wearing my K through 12 hat.
Oh,
So
no way.
yeah,
Sporting
I'm repping. I'm ready. I'm
it.
excited.
Love it. Well, Angie, thank you so much for coming on and talking about Melanie's album. I literally forgot how much I like her slash know about her. So this has been so therapeutic. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really great to just sit and talk about one of my favorites.